pleased this afternoon to have with us a representative from the Australian branch office of the Watchtower Society in Ingleburn, Brother Donald McClain. We're very appreciative that he could find time to be with us this afternoon. So we'd like to welcome him here. We'd like to invite him to the platform now, and he's going to deliver our dedication talk, which is entitled Building for the Future. Well, a very good afternoon to everybody. Are you very, very glad you came this afternoon? It's very special for me to be here, brothers. I have fond memories of coming up here on a motorcycle about 35 years ago, 36 years ago, and looking at this area around here. We met in a Kingdom Hall. It was not really like this. It was just a little lodge place, as they mentioned. And I was a young man, 26 years of age, unmarried at the time, and just fresh in Brisbane from Canada. And I remember Oxley, and I remember Red Hill very well, that big old Kingdom Hall on stilts. That was a very fresh memory in my mind. And all the interesting things that Australia showed us as being different. The kangaroos and the koala bears and the oranges and lemons growing on actual trees, not grocery stores. And bananas, you could buy them too around the place. It was very exciting. And I have very fond memories of those early years. So coming here today, I must confess I came around the corner down Blunder Road, and I recognized Blunder Road, and then I suddenly remembered this street, Freeman's Road, and then turned in right, and I saw the golf course and went whizzing past this beautiful structure, not realizing it was the new Kingdom Hall, and suddenly put on the brakes and backed up, and there was a smiling face, Brother Acklin, and I said, "Is this the place?" He said, "Sure is." So here it is. Just beautiful, brothers. I'm very proud of you, what you've done. And this little, well, how can we term it? This interesting deception, shall I say. The original Kingdom Hall, built at the back, providing the entrance and the foyer, the milling area, and the down steps into the main auditorium, gives you a theater effect, which is very unique and different. So congratulations on that interesting design. It's blended in beautifully, and the ramp for the disabled as well, which is very, very excellent indeed. So, brothers, you can be very happy with your new Kingdom Hall. I know you are, of course. Thank you for those nice slides. They were most interesting. Well, now that I've said that, may I bring the warm greetings from the Bethel family. We have about 125 at the present time. 5 years ago, when we moved to Ingleburn, there were just 60 in the family. Now 125. Just over doubled, and the way we're going, another 5 years, there'll be a lot more in Bethel and Sydney. So what do we have to do? What Oxley had to do, and what dozens and dozens of congregations are having to do right now, that is just expand. So we now have on the drawing boards plans and big sheets of a brand new wing for Bethel. It's now been fully drawn up and sent to Brooklyn. It will have approximately 50 new rooms in it, which will be accommodation for almost 100 people. And when we get that back finally approved from the governing body, then we submit that to the council, and that then will be finally approved because they're very cooperative. They trust us in Campbelltown Council and the Liverpool Council. Then we expect by the beginning of the coming year to commence construction on this new wing. As you know, we finished the 3-story office addition. So it's just on and on, isn't it really? It's marvelous to see. When I came here, I mentioned to you coming to this area in 1949. we had in Australia 3,500 publishers. Would you like to know the figure for March of this year? Do you know the figure for March? Can I tell you the figure for March? It's a new peak. 45,257 publishers for March. That is almost 900 more than the previous peak that we had. And the Bible studies are up to 24,490. The regular pioneers, a new peak, way up 2,252, I believe it is. And this is about 332 more than the previous month last year, same month. And the biggest thrill of all, to my mind, was the average hours for the country of 11.3. Wasn't that marvelous with that increase? Let me read you an experience. It kind of primes the pump a little. It comes from Canada, and it's from a brother who writes concerning Brother Larry Cornell. It seems that this happened in the city of Quebec, the famous province of Quebec, in the city of Quebec. Brother Larry Cornell was setting up a part-time business, was in the market for a truck, mounted in a mobile unit. He answered the advertisement in the paper in Quebec City offering such a truck. The seller proved to be a big, rough man who had the appearance of a rather battered ex-prize fighter. After inspecting the vehicle and documentation, Brother Cornell agreed to buy. So at this point, the seller said to Brother Cornell, "There's no need to pay the sales tax. I'll fix things up with the price in such a way to save you the extra expense." Red flag went up in Brother Cornell's mind. He quickly pointed out that he would pay the tax. That as a Christian, he just couldn't cheat the government out of something it was entitled to. The seller just couldn't believe anyone would turn down a chance to save some money, especially at government expense. Was he crazy? Brother Cornell further explained the attitude that true Christians would have toward their obligations to Caesar and to honesty in general. Well, with this, the man gruffly stated, "Stay here. Don't leave. I'll be back in a few moments." Needless to say, Brother Cornell felt rather nervous, looking toward the door for a possible escape route if needed, not knowing what to expect. The possibility even went through his mind of this fellow returning with a couple of his buddies and perhaps doing him physical harm. Very shortly, he returned. In his hand was a copy of the Red Paradise on Earth book, and he demanded of Brother Cornell, "Is this book put out by your religion? It seems to describe your religion." When Brother Cornell somewhat timidly agreed it was, the man immediately broke into a grin and good-naturedly slapped him on the back, exclaiming, "That's great. This is the best book I've ever read." Well, when asked how he came to get the Paradise book, the man told the following story, which I think you will very much enjoy. He used to be involved with the Quebec City motorcycle gang, and for that matter was still on the fringes, being friends with a lot of these fellows. One of his best buddies from the good old days was a fellow gang member described as the toughest, meanest slob around. This buddy used to delight in riding his motorcycles into stores and even into people's houses. He used to even take his motorcycle apart and repair it wherever he wanted to, and wherever was generally in someone's living room rug. He was rightly described as wild and completely uncivilized. Then, a few months ago, this man selling a truck together with his girlfriend decided to look up his former buddy who was now living about 70 miles from Quebec City, and what a change. When he opened the door, the former wild man was cleanly dressed and groomed. He politely invited his ex-buddy to come in, but asked him if he would please leave his boots at the door. The house was spotless. No litter, no filth, no motorcycle parts lying around, not even beer cans or dead bottles. On top of all this, the guy was now actually married to his former live-in girlfriend. What had happened? I will give you 3 guesses. Maybe 4. What do you think? You guessed it right. The ex-buddy explained he was now studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses and was being helped to live a clean life. The study was the best and most exciting thing ever to happen to him. Since his Bible study was scheduled that very evening, he invited them to stay and sit in on the study and see what it was all about. So the man, his girlfriend, and the others agreed. They were impressed by the study and the changes made by their friend, already accomplished, and asked if they could come on a regular basis. At the time of Brother Cornell's entry in the story, this man and his girlfriend had been traveling the 70 miles each way to study every week for a couple of months. When Brother Cornell told him that he lived nearby and could have his own study, the man quickly agreed with the idea. After the very first study with Brother and Sister Cornell, the man, his girlfriend, and another ex-motorcycle friend began attending the meetings at the Kingdom Hall. All 3 are making real changes in their lives, and progress is very evident, all because of the interest created by the changes in a friend's life and the honesty of a person who insisted on paying the government sales tax. Isn't that nice? Well, I just injected that little experience to tell you what is happening all over the world. It's happening right here in Australia. I have just come from the Gold Coast area. My brother-in-law lives down south of the Gold Coast. The little new congregation that's been formed there, the Lennox Head congregation, is growing so fast they had to break and form a 3rd one at Lennox Head. It's now quite a sizable congregation, made up very largely of people of that caliber I've just read to you about now. Former drug takers and, people with the alternative lifestyle, as they gently term it these days. All kinds of people, as the Bible says, are coming to a knowledge of the truth. Off come the trappings, and I won't describe the details, but the hippie look, this look, it changes and changes, and they evolve into a Christian. It's quite wonderful to see it happen. That is the real building work taking place right now, brothers. That's the real building work. It's the building of new Christians, new personalities. It takes time, takes a lot of effort, a lot of expense, but it's marvelous to see what's happening. And these spiritual bricks and mortar are taking place, forming into beautiful structures to praise Jehovah. Just like this Kingdom Hall is here this afternoon. It's quite exciting to see this whole new thing that's happening to us, this new look on Jehovah's Witnesses. Brother Ellison mentioned, where are you, Brother Ellison? Right down here. Years ago, when I came to visit Brother Ellison and his wife Marge and little family, living, was it about here? Just about there, was it? Yes. It was just a dirt roadish, and fields around here. Golf course was there, I believe, at the time. Things were very different. There was a little increase. We thought it was exciting to have just a handful in the circuit assembly. And going to meetings and witnessing was a very big effort. Long distances involved, as Brother Ellison mentioned. But increase came very slowly. I remember getting the first 5,000 in 1950 for Australia. That was really a cardinal day when that was announced. And then slowly it came. The prophecy of Isaiah 60 was only a thing you read about. I remember reading about when I was a kid. My parents talked about the flocks of doves, coming, blackening the sky, like these flocks of doves coming to their dovecotes or their bird hole cages or holes. Just a prophecy, something in the distant future. Here we are now, suddenly involved in the future. It's right here. It's all around us, and we're grappling with this unique situation which has so stunned us in the last few years. Truly, it makes chills run down your spine. It gives you a goosey feeling, doesn't it, at times, to think of the marvelous increase we're now seeing throughout the world. Did you read the latest issue of the Watchtower, June the 1st? You read that, did you? Told about the new school opening. Just a little rundown here of what's happening. Brother Ted Jarrett, one of our former branch overseers here, was giving a talk to the Gilead School. He said, Puerto Rico had 25 publishers in 1944. Costa Rica had 181. Mexico had 2,431. That was in 1944. Just a little bit before I arrived in Australia. Puerto Rico now has not 25 publishers, but they have 21,943. 4 times as many as there were active in the 12 lands of the Caribbean area in 1947. And then Costa Rica, back there they had 181 publishers. Now it points out that there are more publishers there than all of Central America 40 years ago. Mexico, instead of 2,400, now has 206,000 publishers. As many publishers as were preaching in the entire world 40 years ago are now in one country, in Mexico. In Argentina, in 1947, there were 790 publishers. Today, 63,600. 26 times the number preaching in 12 countries in South America 40 years ago. This goes on and on. It's just quite fantastic. In Japan, when I came to Australia, there were, in Japan, 8 publishers when I came out here in 1948. And when I went through New York City on the way to get a boat, a tramp steamer, the Bernard Victory, we used to call it the Barnyard Victory, this old tramp steamer, I boarded that thing in New York and we came. It took us eternity to get here. It took us weeks and weeks and weeks of traveling. That's beside the point. As I was leaving New York, I met some Gilead missionaries coming to Gilead School from Australia. They were Brother Lloyd Berry and his wife and a number of others, Adrian Thompson and so on. And they were going to Gilead, and I was coming to Australia. They told me all about Australia, what a wonderful place it was. They were all browned up and so on. I was quite looking forward to getting out here. But they, unknown to them, were destined to be sent to Japan after they went through Gilead. So when they went there, just about the time that I had arrived here, a few months later, there were 8 publishers in Japan. Now, there are 117,000 publishers in Japan. So, just on and on it goes. Increase after increase. And that's the thing that is so very striking in our age right now, this decade, the 80s. We just moved into our new facilities at Denham Court in Sydney from Strathfield. We just moved there in the month of February 82, when immediately the work surged ahead. In the first 2.5 years we were out there, There were over 8,000 new publishers reporting in Australia. It's marvelous. Now, we had no inkling, no conception this would happen. We just thought, why we have this huge place when we only have about 60 members of the family with accommodation for 135? Why? Will it happen? Will we have this kind of increase? Surely not that much. But it came very rapidly when we built the new Bethel home. And of course, that sort of paved the way for what we're seeing now with all the congregations, their new kingdom halls. Ever heard of Port Pirie? Well, Port Pirie is in South Australia. A few months ago, I had the privilege of giving a dedication talk there at their new kingdom hall. When I first arrived in this country, I served a little shop front kingdom hall in Port Pirie on the main street. There was a husband and wife there pioneering, Brother Jack Jones and his wife Margaret. She was pregnant at the time and they had to stop pioneering. But they did a lot toward the work of that little congregation. It was very small. Then they built a kingdom hall a few years later, about 10 years later. And then another kingdom hall years after that. That was burned down. It says, Friday, in the beginning, there was just a slab. Sunday, 2 p.m., bricked, tiled, ready to go. Sunday, 2:30, a crowded hall sings in praise on the front page. And I'll just read a little bit to you here. Kingdom Hall in no time at all. They did it. In the space of a little more than 48 hours at the weekend, about 1,000 Jehovah's Witnesses built the $200,000 Edgeworth walls in Kingdom Hall from the ground up, timber formwork, brick veneer, electrical wiring, plumbing, windows, a tile roof, the lot. Even carpets and the in-house public address system were soon intoning God's message. Shortly after 2:30 p.m., only a half hour behind schedule, the hall's auditorium, designed to seat 250, was packed with 1,200 men, women, and children from the Newcastle area, all singing praises to God. Wonderful. Well, there's so many stories about these things. The one over in Port Pirie, a lot of interesting humor about this one too. The circuit overseer wrote and said there were many fine experiences. One man Friday evening saw the coverage in television. Mention was made the hall would be built by volunteer labor on the weekend. He couldn't believe it. So he came to see for himself and worked the entire weekend. Then several clergymen came on the site with many favorable comments from clergymen, such as, "You'll never see a gang of men work like this. Should be more of it. I'm amazed you built this in only 3 days. You have a wonderful organization. I wish we could be as organized as you are. You should be commended." Imagine a clergyman saying this. We are facing the end, brothers. One brother said, "They're actually using real bricks." One of the inspectors said that 3 things stood out in his opinion. One was the fellowship and unity. Second, no swearing. Third, no smoking. A train runs close by the site. The driver of one train stopped the train to take a picture. A family were visiting Whyalla for the long weekend. They were from Broken Hill. They saw the coverage in television, said it would be impossible, would have to see it for themselves. So on their way home to Broken Hill, they diverted away around through Port Pirie. They stayed overnight and came back on Monday and had a tour. One man who went fishing for the weekend left the keys to his catering business with the brothers, saying you can have anything you want from the shop. When he came back, he said, "Your God must have been with me. I've never caught so many fish before." The brother circuit overseer says there was an unending stream of local visitors to the site that resulted in a tremendous witness. A number left their names and addresses, requesting someone to call. The media coverage was outstanding. And then over in a little place called Cummins, this is rather humorous, on Saturday they built this Kingdom Hall, a little tiny congregation, about 25 publishers built a big, beautiful Kingdom Hall. On Saturday, a wedding car came by and stopped to look. One of our attendants, very alert brother, went up to the car and said, "I'm sorry, the hall isn't finished yet if you want to get married. You'll have to come back tomorrow." They saw the funny side and drove off. So it goes on. Perhaps you've read the one from the Gold Coast that was very nice just recently, a few weeks ago. In fact, just very few weeks ago in March. It tells about the witnesses building a church. The Health Committee Chairman, Alderman Peter Weber, said that while the council was not in favor of after-hours building work, it considered the Jehovah's Witnesses project to be a very exceptional application. The Jehovah's Witnesses, he said, have completed similar halls throughout Australia using his quick build method and have proved they are well organized and reliable. Well, that was very nice to hear. But then the mayor of the Gold Coast, in his column in the newspaper, they put this heading, "Church building was something that had to be witnessed," said this: "The highlight of the weekend was without doubt the construction of the 6,800 square feet Jehovah's Witnesses meeting complex in Olson Avenue by more than 1,000 volunteers." Have you heard this one before, brothers? Let me read what he says. This is the mayor talking. "I have watched the preparations over the past few weeks, and I have dropped in to see the weekend's operation. From the pool and landscaping at the entrance leading up to the hall, and the swarm of people working with smiles and determination, it was something I will remember as a true example of community involvement. There is no doubt the organization of such a wonderful performance was a very major task. It was a credit to all concerned, with people from Murwillumbah to Toowoomba taking part. It was a privilege for me to see the cooperation of happy people making it happen. Regardless of our own personal opinions and beliefs, one cannot help admire the dedication of these workers, and I am sure God will bless them." That's from the mayor of the Gold Coast. Isn't that marvelous? As you can see, I'm quite impressed by these paper write-ups. Here's a recent one, just a couple of weeks ago from Adelaide. I had a look at this lovely Kingdom Hall, too. I won't read the whole thing to you, but he's a total stranger, knows nothing about us, happened to be walking along, he said. "I heard reports they were building something in the vacant block of land opposite the shopping center at Craigymore. Also heard they're building it in 3 days. Can it be done, I thought. Then I went along to check it out on a very warm Friday. Well, he said, to my amazement, there were 500 to 600 people there, all wearing hard hats, all working industriously away, carpenters, bricklayers, electricians, plasterers, cement layers, hundreds of other laboring, helping any way they could. Women going around with cool, refreshing drinks for these hard-working men when the weather was hot and tiring. There was a caravan saying first aid. Lost and Found was there. Odors were making me feel very hungry in the cooking department. People passing to and fro from the shopping area were amazed as I. Couldn't be done, they said, but it was. I saw it with my own eyes. Who were these people, you ask? This fellow's a total stranger writing in the paper, remember? Who were these people, you ask? Jehovah's Witnesses. And the building was a new Kingdom Hall, a beautiful place where an empty, overgrown, vacant lot used to be. In the 3 days of building, I saw no smoking, heard no swearing or harsh words, only a band of people united together in love. I would imagine many nationalities were there from all walks of life, all in harmony, and I thought what a wonderful place the world would be if we could all be like that. I never had much time for these people when they called at my door before, but I shall certainly greet them now with a lot more respect and admiration. I consider they have done a wonderful job. Congratulations. What more can we say? They say it all, don't they? That brings little chills down your spine, I'm sure. And that, brothers, is what the prophecy of Isaiah was talking about in chapter 60, wasn't it? He was telling us that they would come from all over the earth like birds flying to the birdhouse holes, blackening the sky, thousands and thousands of people. And the prophet said they'd be like the precious things of the nations. People are very precious to do these things. We hardly realized what a marvelous group of people we have until this thing happened to us, this necessary thing, this great building campaign by these wonderful brothers and sisters of ours. Now we're on show before the world for what we really can accomplish. This is the fruitage, the product of what Kingdom Halls are doing for people. Not just the building of the Kingdom Hall, but people who come here learn how to do these things in a united, wonderfully organized way that the world just admires, and they can't duplicate it. We get offer after offer from people for us to get together a team and build them motels like this in a few weekends, or public buildings, or something, just because it's so done so easily, so quickly, so smartly, and so professionally, and so beautifully. Will you do it for us? We have to politely decline, of course. This is done for Jehovah's glory, not for our glory, not for our praise. All praise goes to God. He is the one who changed the personalities of the builders to be able to do that. Imagine plasterers working beside plumbers at the same time in the same spot for the same purpose. Imagine electricians following through with their wiring and not getting in the hair of the other ones, No arguments, fights. The carpenters coming along, they're tapping in their nails and so on. Each one doing it exactly at the right time, removing his finger when the hammer comes down and so on, Just wonderful. Sometimes the photographers come to see these things built and get sealed in the ceiling. Don't get out quick enough. They complained about that. So it's just like it's in the prophecy, and now that it's happening, it's just so wonderful. Some of you are pretty new in the truth, I know. It may sound a little bit repetitious for us to talk about this so much, but those of us who are of the vintage of Brother Ellison and myself and a few others sitting here, it's just almost, it wells up. It brings tears to your eyes to see it happening, as it is to mine right now. Here we have a letter from the governing body telling about what's happening in some of the other countries of the earth and the branch organizations. The same building program is in Australia. In Argentina, they're expanding their branch with a new 96-room residence building, a service building, and a Kingdom Hall. Plans are there for a very large project in Colombia, South America. That's where they had that disastrous mudslide, And then over in a little place called Cummins, this is rather humorous. On Saturday, they built this Kingdom Hall, a little tiny congregation, about 25 publishers built a big, beautiful Kingdom Hall. On Saturday, a wedding car came by and stopped to look. One of our attendants, very alert brother, went up to the car and said, I'm sorry, the hall isn't finished yet if you want to get married. You'll have to come back tomorrow. They saw the funny side and drove off. So it goes on. Perhaps you've read the one from the Gold Coast that was very nice just recently, a few weeks ago. In fact, just very few weeks ago in March. It tells about the witnesses building a church. The Health Committee Chairman, Alderman Peter Weber, said that while the council was not in favor of after-hours building work, it considered the Jehovah's Witnesses project to be a very exceptional application. The Jehovah's Witnesses, he said, have completed similar halls throughout Australia using his quick-build method and have proved they are well organized and reliable. Well, that was very nice to hear. But then the mayor of the Gold Coast, in his column in the newspaper, they put this heading, "Church building was something that had to be witnessed," said this: "The highlight of the weekend was without doubt the construction of the 6,800 square feet Jehovah's Witnesses meeting complex in Olson Avenue by more than 1,000 volunteers." Have you heard this one before, brothers? Let me read what he says. This is the mayor talking. "I have watched the preparations over the past few weeks, and I have dropped in to see the weekend's operation. From the pool and landscaping at the entrance leading up to the hall, and the swarm of people working with smiles and determination, it was something I will remember as a true example of community involvement. There is no doubt the organization of such a wonderful performance was a very major task. It was a credit to all concerned, with people from Wollongong to Toowoomba taking part. It was a privilege for me to see the cooperation of happy people making it happen. Regardless of our own personal opinions and beliefs, one cannot help admire the dedication of these workers, and I am sure God will bless them." That's from the mayor of the Gold Coast. Isn't that marvelous? As you can see, I'm quite impressed by these paper write-ups. Here's a recent one just a couple of weeks ago from Adelaide. I had a look at this lovely Kingdom Hall too. I won't read the whole thing to you, but he's a total stranger, knows nothing about us, happened to be walking along, he said. "I heard reports they were building something in the vacant block of land opposite the shopping center at Craigymore. Also heard they're building it in 3 days. Can it be done, I thought. Then I went along to check it out on a very warm Friday. Well, he said, to my amazement, there were 500 to 600 people there, all wearing hard hats, all working industriously away, carpenters, bricklayers, electricians, plasterers, cement layers, hundreds of other laboring, helping any way they could. Women going around with cool, refreshing drinks for these hard-working men when the weather was hot and tiring. There was a caravan saying first aid. Lost and Found was there. Odors were making me feel very hungry in the cooking department. People passing to and fro from the shopping area were amazed as I. Couldn't be done, they said, but it was. I saw it with my own eyes. Who were these people, you ask? This fellow's a total stranger writing in the paper, remember? Who were these people, you ask? Jehovah's Witnesses. And the building was a new Kingdom Hall, a beautiful place where an empty, overgrown, vacant lot used to be. In the 3 days of building, I saw no smoking, heard no swearing or harsh words. Only a band of people united together in love. I would imagine many nationalities were there from all walks of life, all in harmony, and I thought what a wonderful place the world would be if we could all be like that. I never had much time for these people when they called at my door before, but I shall certainly greet them now with a lot more respect and admiration. I consider they have done a wonderful job. Congratulations. What more They say it all, don't they? That brings little chills down your spine, I'm sure. And that, brothers, is what the prophecy of Isaiah was talking about in chapter 60, wasn't it? He was telling us that they would come from all over the earth like birds flying to the birdhouse holes, blackening the sky, thousands and thousands of people. And the prophet said they'd be like the precious things of the nations. People are very precious to do these things. We hardly realized what a marvelous group of people we have until this thing happened to us, this necessary thing, this great building campaign by these wonderful brothers and sisters of ours. Now we're on show before the world for what we really have accomplished. This is the fruitage, the product of what Kingdom Halls are doing for people. Not just the building of the Kingdom Hall, but people who come here learn how to do these things in a united, wonderfully organized way that the world just admires, and they can't duplicate it. We get offer after offer from people for us to get together a team and build them motels like this in a few weekends, or public buildings, or something, just because it's so done so easily, so quickly, so smartly, and so professionally, and so beautifully. Will you do it for us? We have to politely decline, of course. This is done for Jehovah's glory, not for our glory, not for our praise. All praise goes to God. He is the one who changed the personalities of the builders to be able to do that. Imagine plasterers working beside plumbers at the same time in the same spot for the same purpose. Imagine electricians following through with their wiring and not getting in the hair of the other ones, No arguments and fights. The carpenters coming along, they're tapping in their nails and so on. Each one doing it exactly at the right time, removing his finger when the hammer comes down and so on, Just wonderful. Sometimes the photographers come to see these things built and get sealed in the ceiling. Don't get out quick enough. They complained about that. So it's just like it's in the prophecy, and now that it's happening, it's just so wonderful. Some of you are pretty new in the truth, I know. It may sound a little bit repetitious for us to talk about this so much, but those of us who are of the vintage of Brother Ellison and myself and a few others sitting here, it's just almost, it wells up. It brings tears to your eyes to see it happening, as it is to mine right now. Here we have a letter from the governing body telling about what's happening in some of the other countries of the earth and the branch organizations. The same building program is in Australia. In Argentina, they're expanding their branch with a new 96-room residence building, a service building, and a Kingdom Hall. Plans are there for a very large project in Colombia, South America. That's where they had that disastrous mudslide, One whole congregation was wiped off the face of the earth, never to be seen again. Over 40 brothers instantly killed. Kingdom Hall buried in mud. Well, they're building a beautiful new complex there near Bogota. Construction will begin soon. Will last for 3 or 4 years. The Costa Rica branch dedication was held in January of this year with 13,000 attending. They only have 9,000 publishers there. Ecuador's project is nearing completion, several months to go. The work for El Salvador should be completed in a few weeks' time. Good progress made unhampered by the political unrest and earthquake difficulties. After nearly a year, the branch in Guyana, nearing completion, one of the most well-constructed buildings in the entire country. Dedication program in Haiti, attended by over 5,000, with several months' work still to be done. Peru's expansion to double the size of the present branch, beginning in 2 or 3 months' time. In Africa, over 300 brothers working on the construction project in Nigeria, 260 local brothers, along with more than 40 long-term international volunteer construction workers. Aside from this, branches are being constructed and planned in Chile, Honduras, Mexico, Britain, Canada, Cyprus, Ghana, Greece, Mauritius, Philippines, and Portugal. The governing body in the letter says Jehovah is certainly speeding it up in its time. So that's the great construction program. And it all centers around the product being developed within the walls of the kingdom halls. We come to our meetings here and we are instructed in Jehovah's ways, as the prophet pointed out in Isaiah chapter 2 and Micah chapter 4. We learn of his ways in kingdom halls, and then we go out the kingdom hall, and what does the prophecy say? We walk in his paths. So we learn here, we go outside and walk the way we've learned in here. So what really counts, brothers, is not so much the quality of the building we meet in, but the quality of the ones that walk out the building after the meetings are held. I'm sure you agree.